Are you thinking about getting a Harvest Host membership but not sure if it's worth the fee?
In this video, we go over how the membership works, along with the pros and cons you'll encounter at Harvest Host locations to know if the membership is right for you. And now you're wondering, what is Harvest Host? Harvest Host is a yearly membership that invites self-contained RVers to have unique overnight stays at farms, wineries, breweries, attractions, and golf courses. You get to stay for free in exchange for patronizing the business. To qualify, you must be able to dry camp without hookups. This means you must have your own restroom, water tanks, and inside cooking facilities. There is no tent camping or likewise allowed.
This is how we use Harvest Host. Harvest Host is a great alternative to sleeping at Walmarts, Cracker Barrels, rest stops, or getting a campsite for just an overnight stay. The business allows you to stay on the property one night for free in exchange for you participating in what the business has to offer. Examples would be paying the fee to visit a museum exhibit, buying produce from a farm, or enjoying a meal or a bottle of wine from a winery.
Instead of paying for a campground you're only going to stay at for one night while you're passing through, you can spend that money on experiences or items you need during your travels and support small mom and pop businesses. Staying at Harvest Host locations works great for us if our travel day is less than 6 hours. This gives us enough time to cover some of the distance on the road and still have time to check out the Harvest Host location when we arrive or the next morning before we leave.
You get to stay at unique, safe, and beautiful locations and get a restful night's sleep. This beats staying at a noisy truck stop, Cracker Barrel, or Walmart with vehicles passing by all night keeping you awake. And you also don't have to leave at the crack of dawn before the business opens. And if you're anything like me, once you've been traveling all day and you get to a campground, I do not feel like unhooking and then going to drive to go see something, especially when you're only going to be there overnight. So once you go to a Harvest Host location, once you arrive, you're at walking distance to go see what the host has to offer and go check it out.
We try to stay at locations that have something that we need or we think would be fun to do. We've stayed at an ice cave and volcano attraction, RV Hall of Fame museum, organic farm market, alpaca farm, and a winery that had an incredible Greek meal. We don't drink wine or beer. Erica's completely allergic to it, so when we stay at these types of places, we make sure there's also food. If we are traveling for several days in a row, we'll stay at a Harvest Host location for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll find a campground where we can dump our tanks, refill with water, fully recharge our batteries. And since we travel to the US for work, there's many times we're traveling for 3 to 8 days straight to get to the next job site. Once we get to our destination, we book an RV park for the duration of our stay.
In this section, we're going to talk about things to think about. First, you need to arrive at a certain time. The host will have this information listed on their Harvest Host description, but some of the information isn't displayed until after you submit your registration and it's accepted. When we visited the alpaca farm, we found out after the host accepted our registration that they wanted you to arrive at 3 p.m. and then there was a group tour starting at 4 p.m. On this trip, it wasn't a problem because we had a very short drive day, but most of the time we're still on the road at 3 p.m. It's important to arrive when the host has time to greet you and to show you where to park. Several of the locations we visited stop accepting guests once they have closed for the night at 5 or 6 p.m., and some of them even lock their gate on the way out. And talking about gates, Steve, what kind of advice do you have for everybody?
Well, you definitely want to check with the host before arriving to see if they have a gate. And if they do, will it be locked during certain hours? Can you drive off the property to run errands in the evening? We learned this the hard way. Staying at a Harvest Host location overnight, we need to leave early in the morning by 6 a.m. and the gate isn't normally locked at this location, except they had a problem the night before with someone coming in who was intoxicated on the property, so they locked the gates to secure the property, which is great because we were sleeping inside when no one had to bother us. But we needed to leave early in the morning, we couldn't get out. We had to wait 2 hours for the host to come out. They unlocked the gate on the normal schedule, then we were on our way. That made us behind schedule for the day, trying to make it to the next location. So without planning ahead like we didn't do, we were almost late for the next stop.
We also stayed at that host where the gate locked at 6 p.m. and you could drive out at any time. It was automatic and it opened, but you couldn't re-enter. So if we wanted to unhook and go to town, we'd be stuck outside of the property. Read all the instructions provided on the Harvest Host website and see if they have special instructions where they want you to park on the property, hours of operation, cell phone service, or they're trying to help you avoid bad GPS directions and save you from getting your RV in a situation where you can't turn it around.
And let's talk about cell service. We learned this the hard way again, not once, but twice. When we stayed at the alpaca farm, we were just going to call when we arrived to find out how to check in. We were parked on the road, confused about where to go, and when we called, we found out we didn't have any service. Always contact the host well before you arrive for the check-in procedures.
This also happened to us in New Mexico when we were traveling. I saw on the weather app that there was going to be possible tornadoes on the route that we were going, and I told Steve about it, and he said we only have 25 more minutes until we arrive, so once we get there, I'll look over everything and we'll come up with a new plan of action. When we arrived, we had 0 cell phone service, so we couldn't call and we couldn't look anything up on the internet to see what was going on outside of the area that we were in. And when we arrived, we came 10 minutes before they closed, and on the way out, they locked the gate, so we were locked in. The only thing we knew was that the weather was safe where we were at for the next 2 days, and we shouldn't go drive on the route the following day. When we went to the visitor center the next day to go purchase our tickets to the attraction, we told them about our dilemma, and they gave us their Wi-Fi code so we could log in and look at what was going on in the outside world. They also told us the spots weren't booked that night, so if we wanted to pay their dry camping rate, we were welcome to stay another night, and we were so thankful for that. And I also want you to know that some hosts will let you stay more than one night. It's not the norm, but some of them will, and some of them do have electricity and water hookups that you can pay for. Now let's talk about the RV parking spots. Don't expect to arrive and get to pull right into your spot and be done for the day. The check-in process might be different than a normal campground because the overnight parking spot that you're going to take up might also serve as regular vehicle parking during the day.
And we ran into something similar visiting an attraction. An RV that was passing through just to visit the attraction. They parked across all 4 RV parking spots where we stay overnight. They came in before the end of the day, and the host that was running the attraction didn't see them blocking all the spots. They says, well, they just went in there. It's going to be around an hour or so before they get out. So we had to pull and wait off to the side for them to finish the attraction. Once they came out, unblocked the 4 RV parking spots, we were able to back our 5th wheel in, and we could stay for the night. It was a long wait, and we were already tired from traveling all day. We have a 42-foot RV. It takes a lot of room to maneuver it. We pulled in the one location just fine, but we had to back it out to leave. We left right before the business was open, and we had to use a space cars would normally park to maneuver the RV and get turned around. When you arrive and get situated, we suggest figuring things out, so you have a game plan of how you're going to get the RV out of that parking spot if you can't just do a circle and loop around.
And we almost ran into more parking issues at the winery.
We lucked out on this one, but keep in mind when you're staying at wineries or breweries, they might have small parking lots and they're very busy for the evening rush. And we pulled in before at 4 o'clock. We had to pull up, use the parking spots cars normally park into to back to the RV parking. The RV parking was open all night long, but once that dinner rush pulled in, there was no way we were backing the RV up into the RV parking because those cars would have been in the way.
We suggest when you call and check with the host that you ask if they have certain times that they're really busy to make sure you don't arrive at those times, so that way you can easily maneuver your RV and you don't have to worry about their customers parking their cars around and you having to get around those. This is another big one that didn't dawn on us, so we want to make sure you are well aware of it.
When you're booking a host, you have the online stay request. When you go in there to the online stay, you can see the calendar, you see the days you have options to pick. And we submitted a request. It was a weekend and we didn't hear back for a couple days. We figured they were closed and look at it on Monday. In the meantime, we're looking for backup locations. We're looking around the area at different hosts, and that area was not available.
Like nothing. There was nothing at all.
And then it dawned on us, let's cancel our pending reservation to see if other ones popped up. And that was a problem. Once we canceled that reservation, we were able to go to another harvest host, see their availability. They were not grayed out anymore. We had the option to submit the online request once again, and then we were approved for a different stay.
If your request stays pending and you don't hear back from a host, give them a call and check to see if they have availability. Some of the hosts do not log in and check the online software, so they don't know that they have anything pending, and you might be able to stay there.
And the last thing you need to know, before we show you how the Harvest Host app works to search for locations, is once you book a location and that host is planning on you coming, you are their guest for the night. They might only have one or a handful of spots. If you book that spot and don't show up, that business is losing out on income, and someone else who's a member loses out on a spot to stay. If something changes with your schedule and you can't make it for the night, you need to call a host and cancel. There are strict rules at Harvest Host. If you don't show up 3 times, your membership is canceled and you can no longer stay at Harvest Host locations. Now I'll show you how to search and book Harvest Host locations. Once you sign up, you get a membership number and access to searching host locations. You can search locations on a computer or using a phone's app. They're both very user-friendly. To start, we'll open up the Harvest Host app. On the main screen, you see a bunch of dots. Those are Harvest Host locations. We're going to start by filtering our locations. Up here in the search bar, just to the right of that, the 3 little bars. Through here, you see you can click different attractions, farm, breweries, wineries, your RV's length. If they allow pets, slide out some more. Once you select your filters, you can click Apply. In the top, you can enter location to search for area you want to stay, or you can zoom around on the map. Let's say I want to stay in Ohio. I'm looking for a farm to buy produce. So we'll click on this farm between Dayton and Cincinnati. You see this is Liberty Farm Market. Once it pops on the bottom, we can click on that to get more details. Once you open up the location, you can scroll down, see all the details that the host provides, and at the bottom you see the reviews. I bet this one right here by Steve P is a great review. Reviews and information is very helpful because they might give details that the host does not provide. If everything sounds good, we'll click to request our stay. You'll see dates in the calendar the host says that they are open. You'll see information is automatically filled in. You'll also see the Harvest Host Code of Conduct at the bottom. Once you submit your request, you'll see under My List your requested stays. You'll be able to see if you've been approved or denied for different requests. If you have been approved, you might see additional check-in information from the host this time. After you've stayed at a host, you have the option to leave a review. This is very helpful for other members coming in. That way they know what to expect at that particular host. If we go back to the My List tab, you can see saved hosts you want to visit in the future or stay at again. We can also go down to My Trips. If we're going to a particular area, we can save hosts that we're staying at along the way, which makes it a lot easier to find during travel days. I'm not going to quote the price in this video since it can change, and there's different levels of membership you can get. You can go with the basic membership, we can add the golf package to your membership, or also purchase both Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome, where you can stay on people's personal property. You can see the current pricing online, and remember, you can use our referral code and receive a nice discount on your membership. And if you want to give Harvest Host as a gift, you can purchase a gift card, and the membership doesn't start until the recipient activates it. And we have a bonus tip for you. If you're ready to take a long road trip, you need to check out the Drive Weather app. This app shows you the weather on the map, the time you'll be driving through the area. You can plan what time you want to leave and stop during your trip to avoid bad weather rolling through an area. This app is not like any weather app we've ever seen. You can check out this awesome weather app by watching this video next. We'll also put a link in the description down below. Safe travels, and we'll see you in the next video.